joining us for the first time, welcome. I am not featured on the Deluxe edition some time back. Her name is Grace. Then she was Grace Ngadzi, but today she is Grace Mawungani, who is an articulated young female entrepreneur from Zimbabwe whose passion for business, fashion, and women's empowerment drives her daily activities to make an impact. As the founder of Becoming Her, a movement for women by women, Grace has dedicated herself to uplifting and inspiring women from all circles of life. Holding an honors degree in business administration and management, she's working towards establishing herself as one of the influential figures in the emerging generation. Under the vision, Becoming Her has launched the acclaimed Becoming Her series and hosts annual events that create valuable networking and empowerment opportunities for women. These gatherings encourage personal growth and help participants align their passions with their purpose, fostering a vibrant community of empowered women to pursue their dreams. Grace has recently launched her bridal consultancy career, in which she works closely with brides, and she's not wearing these hats. She is pursuing her love for fashion and beauty so as to help women across the nation feel more confident and comfortable in their own skin through clothing. Welcome to Capital, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So the last time you were here, we were Miss Gadi.
Yes.
And now you're Mrs.
Yes, ma'am.
How is that being, girl?
It's honestly very exciting. I think it's such an interesting transition altogether. But so far so good, and I'm not expecting it to get any worse than this. So we're good. We're good.
Oh, you do look good though.
Oh, thank you, girl. Thank you.
So, Diaries, we talk to women that are making it in all strides of life, and I want to know. I think the first thing that as women we want to empower each other. That's very important.
Yeah.
And I want to know what inspired you to start Becoming Her, and what problems does it aim to solve for women?
I think the first thing is in the name. Becoming Her. I remember growing up, I had this version of myself that I wanted to be. You want to be put together, you want to be the it girl and all that. And because I didn't know exactly what I wanted it to be, I just had to put a name on it. So it basically gave birth to Becoming Her, becoming that version of myself. So I think for every other woman, it's basically becoming the version that you want to be, not necessarily inspired by somebody else. Even though you may be motivated by somebody else, it doesn't necessarily have to be, envying them to the last drop of it. But basically just saying, look, I love this person, but I want to become a better version of myself. So Becoming Her is becoming the better version of yourself to everyone that is out there. And
like what you're saying, I always talk about this. Every time when we Google the It Girl or Becoming Her, the first thing that pops up on our websites or anything is some well put person. And I don't think there's anyone who sits when they're young, when they're 13 and says some rowdy type of girl.
True.
So it's quite true what you're saying, that you imagine yourself being well put, well kept, and all of that. So I want to know, can you share some challenges you faced as a young entrepreneur, and how have you overcome them?
Number one is excitement. When you're an entrepreneur and you have this vision, you get excited because somehow, somewhere you think, I'm the first to have this vision, right?
True.
So sometimes you end up ignoring, tips that you can get from people about how to go about business, and you end up messing up. But I guess it's the necessary lesson that you have to go through to be able to overcome it, because you'll be like, no, I should go like this, but they don't know. Vision,
I feel like when you're young, they don't know.
They don't know. They don't get me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're trying to prove a point, because vision, didn't know where I want to go. So as long as people don't see what I'm seeing, they don't understand. So that alone is the first thing that I had to overcome. And because I'm a firstborn, I'm so used to giving instructions. A lot of times I'm deputy parent. I live to give instructions. I dish them out,
Literally.
But with entrepreneurship, you will learn. It will humble you. It will bring you back down and say, look, you need to go through these necessary steps to be able to make it in the future. So I think that's one of the most difficult things that I had to go through, and it took a really long time, but when I then grasped it, I managed to go back to ground and start from there.
All right, I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, a lot of these entrepreneurs, they sit down, and when you ask them how they did it, they have this, I'm trying to be funny, but they have this, I used to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. That kind of talk.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
No, I think there's there's parts where it's true.
All right.
Because entrepreneurship has you doing things at odd hours of the day. Not because it's motivation at first, right? It's because things are not coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, I have this event that's coming up. I will, obviously, when people say, so how long do you work? I'm like, sometimes I sleep at like 1 a.m. I wake up at like 3. It's not because I'm driven. No, it's I'm sitting down, I'm bringing myself to base. What's on the ground? How prepared are we for this event? Each, I just this person is not responding. This person, like, there's so much going on. You won't find sleep. So in as much as, yes, there's a story of, I wake up at 5 a.m. and then I do this and then I great for them that are doing it. Some of us are still trying to get ourselves together. So the waking up and going the extra mile is because you want it to work so bad. You have to put in the extra hours. So I mean, when they then speak the motivational story, it then sounds like, it's I'm gonna 5 because I'm gonna 5 then.
Because I feel like when it comes to, if we're being real, when it comes to entrepreneur, there are so many stories that we hear that make you question, okay, am I ready for this?
Yeah.
And like, we don't hit the road. Like you're saying, it's not because I'm trying to be well put, waking up at this time. It's mostly because I have no rest. I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to balance this?
Exactly.
We don't hear that side. We usually hear the perfect side. I want to understand, at what point did you know that, I need to stop becoming her? Because it obviously just didn't start happening.
Yeah. Becoming Her was founded, I think I made it public August 2019. I had the vision sitting with me for a long time, but because I'd never done something of that nature before, I didn't even know where to go, how to go about it, right? And so you sit down with your parents, you sit down with some friends, and you say, guys, I have this thing, right? I want to do this thing, but like, does it make sense?
Yeah.
And I always do that. I always sit down with people that are close to me and say, does this actually make sense? So I think that's when I then said, look, people actually see the sense in this thing that I may not see because I overthink a lot, right? So at that point, that's when I was like, this might actually be helpful to the next person. So it ended up not being about me alone. It had to be about everybody else. And that's what it is now. It's about every other woman, not necessarily about me. So I think, that's
all right. There's something you're talking about, support and overthinking. So I've had conversations with so many people that are planning maybe to start something, and I had a conversation with this lady that wanted to do an event in February, and she's there like, I started overthinking, how do you deal with that? Because every time when you're sitting down to put an idea on paper, there's this negative talk that's in your head, literally. I want to understand, at what point did you switch off the negative switch and turn the positive switch on? How did it work for you?
You can't necessarily ignore that.
You can't.
Even now as I'm planning, it's there. The point of it is, you just basically have to choose to show up. There's mornings I wake up and I'm like, guys. I mean, do I have to explain why? Like,
I don't
is it gonna affect it? I don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, no, but then again, this is beyond me. It's not about me, right? So what I do is I just do it. However it ends up, I won't be upset with myself because I know that I did it. I know that I've done it, and I know that I showed up. So I think to anybody who struggles with overthinking and just sometimes just do it, you will react wajita. If you have a post and you have an announcement, just put it. When you've put it out there, then you will start making the next steps to take it forward because you've already put it out there. Sometimes we are literally like robbed of the visions that we have because of our mindsets.
True.
So sometimes just put it out there and then just start moving from there, because the biggest step to take is to start. Once you start, it's hard to stop.
You know what? I feel like it sounds, when somebody says just do it, it sounds so cliche. Because you're like, bro.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
What are the steps that you take when it comes to getting out there? And because you're literally putting yourself out there when it comes to these events and becoming her in general. What are the steps that you took for you to say, you know what, I'm just going to do it? Did you have to give yourself some small talk?
I was just going. And I guess like what I said, Pepe, with the whole thing with excitement, you're excited. Sometimes you're not mindful of the necessary things you have to do. I just went. And And I guess it's a good thing and it's also a bad thing, because sometimes you do need people to tell you, no, don't go this way, go that way.
And how do you handle negativity from the people around you and positivity as well?
Negativity, usually people are, it's two-sided. There's people who are negative because they see the potential in what you're carrying and they want to stop it from going further, right? That's the extremely negative side of it. Then there's the negative side where the comments are not coming because they don't believe in you. The comments are coming because they fear that you might go through what they went through, or they don't understand the vision, or it's never been done before the way that they know it to be done, right? So people talk about that whole kutanga what's this business rima chips, rima potatoes, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows kuti my fresh chips are shaped a certain way, right? Imagine what it was like for the person who discovered doing the little circle theater, the French fries in that version, or like the like a different type of French fries, just not one that was used by everybody else. For someone who could have gone and said, I want to try it like this, people would be like, but what do you but munane vision, and they're still nice. It's still the same potato, right? But we've never seen it being done this way. We want you to do it this way. So that's how people end up making it negative. The positive comments, they feel good. There's days when you need positivity, when you cannot give it to yourself. And this is why I'm always stressing about, make sure your support system is strong. Make sure you make sure your support system is, even if they're doubting it, they don't say it to your face. They will hype you up, even if they're like, but no good at that, because you need that. So I think just balancing those two aspects, you'll be in a good place.
This is Capital 100.4 FM Radia's Heartbeat. I am joined by Mrs. Gathers, and we are talking about her, literally becoming her. And I want to understand, how do you measure the success of becoming her, and what are your long-term goals for becoming her?
Right now, I'm measuring success off of what people say sometimes.
Right.
So because it's not about me, it's about women. So I'm trying to address real life situations of a real woman, right? When I say real women, I mean like away from social media, like inini,
the real me,
right? The one that's not, there's no makeup, there's no facade, the real Grace, right? And I think, and I'll say this, Women's Day was on Saturday,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And I had this video. I was not gonna post that video. I think I posted around 4 or 5, and I was telling my husband, and I was like, I may not post this. And he's like, post it, and he forced me to post it. He sat next to me until I posted it. And I remember I was like, why did I post it? I was like, I had already put it out there.
How does it feel, my husband?
Oh, it feels nice. It was real good. It was real good, girl. Like, my husband, yeah. But like, I remember this one girl sent me a voice note. I've never like met her, and she was saying to me, I feel like God sent you to speak to me, right? And she was like, I was looking at where I was, where I started, what I wanted to be, and where I am right now. I've lost track of myself. And I realized, Kuti, in that same video, I was kind of talking about myself as well. That's why I didn't want to post it, because I felt like I was exposing myself. So with becoming her, sometimes I measure success by just hearing one, even if it's one person, Precious, that can say to me, this made me feel better. This, I feel like this was God sent. I don't even need a nation to tell me that. One person,
yeah, sure.
That's when I know I've made a difference and an impact to one person. Because as soon as I make an impact to one person, they could impact a whole generation because of the one thing that I said that I didn't take seriously. So I think for me, that's what I think measures a success. And then where do I see becoming her? Be mindful of my name, guys. I'm speaking in faith. We're going places with this. And I don't know what God has in store, because some of the things that he asks me to do, I know in my own capabilities I can't do it. Like the magnitude of certain things that he asked me to do regarding becoming her, I'm like,
God,
I've been speaking about you, God. If you don't show up, this is your name on the line. You know what I mean? So just remember becoming her. Remember the movement. It's gonna go places, and I can't even begin to tell you because I don't even know myself, but I know because of the one who speaks to me about the event. Yeah.
You said something that let's get into Grace's life a little bit. I saw somebody post a video. I'm just referring it to what you were saying, and then there was a comment that they put on their post where somebody was like, I met you in person and you're exactly who you show online. The thing with our generation lately is, I always tell people this, you know what, I will be a mess. I would take 99 pictures to show you that one picture.
True.
There's a day I took out my phone and you always hear comments like, you have beautiful skin.
Yeah, you do.
Day, let me finish. There's that day I took out my phone and I wanted to talk about what people see. The people that see you have beautiful skin, you're always smiling. That's what I want you to see. I never show you the side when I'm down, the precious I am when I'm in the dark.
True.
And there's a guy who was here on air on the crunch, and he said the thing with our eyes, they see outwards and not inwards.
True.
And the audience see the outward and not what's inside. I want to know, you said you were speaking to yourself. I want to know, as Grace, you're sitting alone in your room where you're not holding your phone. The world is not seeing Grace put together on social media. What is it like taking yourself out of your comfort zone to go online and speak to women?
I think when I'm alone, I am a mess before God. And yeah. I usually refer to scripture. I think it's Psalms 51. I'm not sure which verse. It says the sacrifices of God are a broken and contrite spirit, that the Lord cannot despise. Girl, I sit there and I'm like, Ngari, I know nothing. I am nothing without you. That is grace. And sometimes, and I'm so happy I married someone who understands that he can walk into the bedroom and find me crying. And he does not need to come to me and say,
girl,
what did I do? It's not even about you. It's me in my most vulnerable state. I think so much of me as a person. Shoguti, sometimes I'm like, I'm not even worthy to be doing this. Sometimes you find even before coming to platforms like this, I'm like, and someone will take it lightly. Oh, I'm just going on radio, you know. It's not even that deep. Some of us, it's like
when you sit down and think about it, it's actually deep.
There's someone who's listening to me.
And like what you're saying, I always tell people, even if I speak and I get one greeting from one listener, that's a lot. Dude, right now I'm speaking to you,
bruh,
and that's a lot,
bruh. And it's like, I'm like, God, exactly what is it that I've done for you to place such a vision on my heart, for you to make someone want to listen to everything I have to say? What is it about me? And I still can't put my finger on it. I can't say Nasinda pega nicely for this person to greet me. I can't say Nasinda, I did this differently for this person to react this way towards me. Today I smiled. It's not even about that.
No, it's not.
I go back to base and I'm like, I am nothing. So if you don't go with me, you're exposing me, because I am actually nothing without you. So I think for me, that's me. I am the most vulnerable mess. I cry a lot, and I think you know this. So I try not to put makeup when I'm staging, because I be crying throughout in prayer, because that's how I feel. I feel that small before God. So yeah, I think that's me. You know.
And you also said something that a person reached out to you when you posted the video on Women's Day, and you were talking about, I want you to speak to somebody who feels like they have lost themselves. They're losing themselves in whatever they're doing. Like what you're saying, you could be doing everything, but it seems like you're losing track of yourself. I want you to speak to that person.
I think for what I would say, write down your goals for the year. It's not necessarily so you track them sometimes. It's so you can celebrate the milestones. Milestones, precious, I believe, are not the big announcements.
True.
They're not, the congratulatory messages from everybody. Milestones are, I'm a content creator. I said I'm going to post 3 reels this week. I posted 3 reels this week. Regardless of how messy I was, how busy I was, I made the time and I achieved it. If you feel like you've lost yourself, don't look at what everybody else is saying about you. Sometimes it hurts because sometimes you want, we have a threshold, you know? Maybe someone is like, if this person reposts my content, I've made it. What about the person? What about the person who may not have reposted your content but shared and you don't know about it? Do we say you've not made it because there's things that are happening in the private? So don't use certain people to mark your progress, right? Did I say I wanted to do this week? Yes. Even if it's this week that I'm going to put lipstick, and I know how I feel about lipstick, but I'm going to try it because it's out of my comfort zone. And then you do it. Celebrate yourself.
Well done.
Celebrate yourself. This week I've worn heels and I struggled to walk in them. And I felt good. Do it. Celebrate it. The challenge that people have sometimes and what depresses us is we're expecting specific individuals. You know, let's say someone comes to me and says, thank you so much for this, right? And then I'm like, oh, I don't know them. And they have like 5 followers or whatever. And then someone with like 100,000 followers comes and says, thank you so much for this. I'm most likely going to take what they said over what this person says. But at the end of the day, what impact is it? Because of the clout that there is. But in essence, are we actually appreciating what the person's doing? Or we're coming from a point of, so I'm going to comment on that. To measure our progress in life. So as a person, if you feel like you've lost yourself, come back and ask yourself, is this what I wanted to do? What I wanted to do? If it is, then commend yourself. Applaud yourself. You are doing great. I think that's that. I think Mama knows I commented, but if I'm happy with what I'm doing, we're moving forward.
It is Diaries right here on Capital 100.4 FM Marare's Heartbeat. To those that want to see what we're doing in studio, you can watch us on our Facebook page at Capital FM. We are talking to Grace Mawungani. They're talking to us about becoming her, and I'm about to ask about your bridal consultancy. I told you. I will say this every time I see you. I'm coming to you, girl.
I appreciate you trusting me. I think it's it came with season.
Can you see the way you're smiling?
Can you
actually see, like when you start talking about bridal consultancy?
It's exciting.
It's your baby.
It's literally currently it's the youngest baby I have. It's something that came with season.
Right.
I mean, like you said, last time I came here, I was a miss, and now I'm a missus. And I've seen the struggles. I've seen some of the things that brides are going through.
Sure.
And I think when this was born, it was basically me trying to make the life easier. Because my motto there is, my job is one person. My job is one, the bride. And that's it. I do what the bride wants. This is the bride's day, right? So my job when you hire me is to actually just make you happy. The bride's happiness is all I want. So it's very exciting, but it's also like, you know that thing that they say about how sometimes you don't realize that people actually looking at you a certain way. Hearing that, I've got 3 or 4 brides that have actually just said they want to work with me, and this is excluding you, right?
Of course.
Like people who have said after seeing my Instagram status and they're like, oh my gosh, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And it's like, oh wow, you actually see the vision. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting, but it's a lot of work. But because I've been through it, and I have a village. I was raised by a village. A lot of women that, you know, poured into me during that season. I saw the importance of it, and I want to do the same thing to the next person. So it's an exciting one. I'm very excited about it.
How are you balancing it all? Because besides planning for becoming her, that is happening in May.
Dude.
We're going to talk about that at the end, honestly. How are you balancing being a fashion designer? Because you're not just a fashion designer for brides only, but you're genuinely a fashion designer.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you want to call yourself. Some say, I'm not a fashion designer, I'm this.
No, it goes. Because I have concepts in my head sometimes I have to put on paper for it to make sense. So I can't fall into that criteria. I like to look good. I like to make people look good. So if there's a word for that, stylist maybe, I don't know. But like I'm a little bit of both in everything. So fashion, as long as it's, you know, making people look good, I'm in for it. Balance, you need to manage your time, and you need to give yourself time. Managing time is saying this week, this is what I need to get done. This is what I'm doing, when and where. And I'm going to make sure I show up. If it's meetings, especially with brides, I have meetings with people. So I have to make sure that I make it on time so that I can go to the next thing or do the next thing that I need to do without having to miss out on anything. So I have quite a lot that I'm doing. I have a lot going on right now. So if I don't manage my time, I'm in trouble because something is going to be deprived, or somewhere, somehow, something is going to starve. And then as far as like managing yourself, I know that I work a lot. So I need to rest. And I also need to make sure I make time for this new chapter that I'm in.
Exactly.
I have to make sure. So like I love that we have a really great system in our house where we just make sure that on Monday is my free day. Monday is my off day. And that's everybody's day to start work. Monday is when everybody comes back to base and we're going to work. Monday is when I'm taking a break. Because most of my work, the pressure starts on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm working so much in those days that if I don't take my break on Monday, I'm burnt out exactly, and I don't want to be in that position. So manage yourself and manage your time. That will save you a lot. Like, just know where to put what and prioritize your meetings with people.
All right. Now let's talk about the event.
Dude.
The event.
Dude.
Girl.
Dude.
Mrs.
Honestly, I wish I could open up my heart for the world to see what God has put on that event. We talk so much about women empowerment, but we can only empower each other when we know each other.
Sure.
I cannot empower the next person if I don't know myself. And I think maybe that's why he put it on my heart in such a way that we were addressing mothers, daughters, teen moms, single moms, every single woman.
And you know what? You mentioned something about generations. And I think a few weeks back I was having a conversation with somebody and we're talking about how broken we can be and the brokenness can carry on
to the next generation.
There was a friend of mine was talking about how she grew up in a home where she wasn't the smartest and she would be compared to somebody. And as she was being compared to somebody, it has affected her even till now as she's older. And now you get into a state where you are blaming everybody. And you forget to look at yourself.
Exactly.
Because as much as you want to say, okay, these people made me get here, you also need to look at yourself.
Self-introspection is very important. And I think that's the one thing that we're trying to address. There are so many people in families. I put it out for mothers and daughters. It's Mother's Day, yes, but we've put it in such a way that it's attending to every woman. There is a woman who grew up without parents, right? She will have some sort of withdrawal symptoms towards that because she felt she was never loved enough because she never knew her parents for whatever reason it may have been. There's a woman who grew up without a father, or the father was just never present. She's going to have a certain way that she views herself when it comes to being married and when it comes to her children.
Daddy issues.
There's a woman who has both parents and is the second born. That comparison you were talking about. Then there's the woman who has a healthy family. All these people are going to pour out into the next generation. We need to deal with whatever it is that they may be holding. Some people don't even know they have trauma.
Girl.
Like, they don't know, because I've experienced trauma in my life. Like,
and childhood trauma.
They don't. Yeah, real. It's real. And you will not know. Imagine a mom who does not know what trauma looks like or never knew or heard about it. Because I know back in the day, nowadays people address things like depression because they know it's real. Back in the day, imagine being depressed and trying to tell people you're depressed.
It's still, sadly, it's still like
there.
That. It's
right.
Still there.
Yeah. So bringing ourselves together as women and saying, guys, this is actually trauma. You may not know about it. Before you pour it into your child, you need to know that I've actually gone through this and I need to take accountability and I need to figure it out and solve it. Because as soon as you pass it on to your child, they're going to pass it on to their child. And now you have a broken generation.
True. And from what I'm understanding about the whole thing about depression, being suicidal, of course, when they say China, they don't fully elaborate.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with sitting down and talking about whatever is going on, about whatever trauma you had growing up, childhood traumas and all of that. Of course, we now have to include God.
Yeah, true.
as much as we're saying, right, where it's, yeah, it is, it's there. People can be depressed, and like what you're saying, some people grew up with very harsh parents, and it's portrayed in the world that they are in relationships, friendships that they're in. So I'm excited about that. We are 6 minutes away from the news, and I want you to give advice to any other young woman who wants to start their own business, or who wants to get out there and share what, like what you're saying, what God would have spoken to them over other people's lives.
I think it's a very broad question, but I think what I'll say excuse me, what I'll say is find as much counsel as you can. Nowadays we live in a world where there's people that are willing to give information. To be able to make it, you need to humble yourself. When you go before people, don't try and be the big person in the room. Be as small as you can so that you learn. Because when you have a mentality of I'm the biggest person in the room, this is my idea, business rango, you won't go further. But when you come back down to ground and say, guys, this is what I'm thinking of doing, get as much help as you can from as many people as you can, and then filter down to what you think you need to take and what you need to do.
All right, thank you so much for coming to Talk. To those that want to get in touch, and to those that want to show up for the event, how do they get in touch with Grace?
Okay, so if you want to know more about the event, you can go on our Instagram page. Our Instagram is Becoming Her. It's basically _.becomingher._ right? All the information, the last day of ticket sales for the early bird ticket, who it's open to. There's so much more that you'll find on that page that you may not even think you needed to know. But it's all there. It's all there. And the style code and how we're showing up and everything is all there.
Tell us about the style code.
Girl, silks and satins, baby. We are showing up in silks and satins.
Looking expensive.
Yes, baby, as we should. And solving problems and leaving the place with value. That's the important thing at the end of the day. So I'm excited to see you guys, and I hope you guys come through. We have so much to handle and deal with.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It is Capital 100.4 FM Radio's Heartbeat. 4 minutes to 1 is the time. At exactly 1:15, we get into the conversation with Apostle Nelly Gwatidzo, talking about red flags in courtship. Thank you so much for choosing Radio's Heartbeat. This was Diaries.